Welcome to Tupperware Cooking with Chef Mike. I don't know about you, but I love eggplant parmesan, but one of the biggest problems that I have when I order in a restaurant, it's usually so overbreaded and they use so much sauce that it becomes gummy and it just kills the whole effect. Now, if you've ever made it at home, you also know that that's a real pain too, because you've got to fry the eggplant and you get splatters all over the kitchen. I have a solution where you're going to get great eggplant parmesan and a clean kitchen. Watch. The first thing I'm going to use is our Mandoline, which is a wonderful kitchen tool for slicing. This one is great because you can do straight slices, like if you're going to make potato chips or apples or tomatoes or onions for hamburgers, but it also has teeth so that you can do French fry cuts or you can do julienne vegetables. It'll also do cube cuts. But today I'm going to do just slicing, and I'm going to slice up some eggplant. And I want these fairly thin, so I'm going to set this probably on number 5. And when you're choosing an eggplant to use, especially for this recipe, bigger is not always better. The bigger the eggplant, the more seeds it has and the more bitter it's likely to be. So go for a medium to smaller size eggplant. It'll be a lot more tender. You don't even need to peel it because it won't have that bitter taste. You don't need to salt it and soak it. So this is much better. So what I'm going to do is cut this in half because I need to have sizes to fit in our wonderful MicroPro Grill. The most important safety feature of the Mandoline is this guard, because that protects your fingers from becoming part of the recipe. And as you see, they're protected by this hard plastic. And inside there are these gripping pins so that if you're cutting an onion or a tomato or something that you're cutting straight across, it actually grips it so that it's secure. Now, Tupperware was so smart, they actually put these gripper teeth around the outside for cutting larger vegetables or something like the eggplant, where I'm going to cut it this way instead of this way. Now here's the trick. To make it a little easier to work with, I'm going to cut just a thin slice off of one side. That'll make it much easier to feed into the Mandoline. So you take the Mandoline, you take your eggplant and press down so that those gripper teeth are now holding it steady. And now I simply slice. Let me check and see how thick that is. Yeah, this is about the thickness that we're going for. So I'm going to do another 4 slices, because the first one's always a test. And as you see, they're not too thick, they're not too thin, but these will work perfectly in the grill. So now that we have our eggplant sliced, we need to bread it. And breading can be really messy, and a lot of people resist having to do things that are breaded, but this couldn't be easier. I've got one container that's full of just some all-purpose flour, salt and pepper. In my next container, I've got 2 eggs that are beaten with about 2 tablespoons of water. And in this container, I've got some seasoned breadcrumbs and some finely grated Parmesan cheese, which I grated fresh. But to that, and this is the secret to give you the crispiness in the MicroPro, I'm going to add some cornmeal, fine cornmeal, not the coarse cornmeal. And I'm going to add about a tablespoon of Italian seasoning. Then I'm going to pop the cover, seal this up, and then I can just shake it to mix everything together. All right. Done. So now I'm ready to bread. Now, when you're breading, I learned this in culinary school years ago, the rule to follow is 1 hand wet, 1 hand dry. So that way if the phone rings, you'll at least have one free hand to pick up the phone. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have the MicroPro Grill ready. Don't need any oil, don't need any fat, don't need anything else. It's going to be good to go. Then I'm going to take my eggplant and dredge it in the flour. Shake off the excess, then dip it in the egg, and then dip it in the crumbs. And I like to kind of push down on it to make sure that it really gets coated. Shake off the excess, and then it goes right in the grill. Second verse, same as the first. So I'm going to repeat. Got my dry hand, waiting for that phone, or to scratch your nose, or whatever needs to be done. All right, there's 2. And the grill will only hold about 4 slices at a time, and that's why I'm only doing 4 now. Obviously, I could get more slices out of that eggplant, but if you pre-bread them while you're waiting, you'll start getting that gummy effect, and we want to avoid that at all costs. So really only bread these right before you're about to cook them. And the last one. Now here's the amazing part. Again, if you've ever made fried eggplant or eggplant parmesan at home, it takes a while to fry, and you've got to do it in batches, and it makes that big mess. This only takes 7 minutes. 7 minutes, and it gets browned, and it gets crisp. There's no extra fat. There's no extra mess. And so I get immediate gratification for my eggplant parm sub, which I will show you later. Okay, so here's my gunked up wet hand. So with my dry hand, I'm going to put the cover on the grill in grill position. Remember that when the cover is down below the rim, that the sensors, the heating elements, are in direct contact with the food. So, got to use 2 hands this time. Into the microwave we go. 7 minutes. And we'll be ready to eat. Okay, while the eggplant is cooking in the MicroPro, I'm going to grate some cheese because, of course, you need some grated cheese to go with your eggplant parmesan. And I'm going to use the Grate Master Shredder. This is one of our master systems. This is the grating part. There's also a meat grinder, there's a juicer, there's even a sorbet maker. But to use this, very easy to put together. That's why I've got it in pieces. You simply take the hopper and slide it into the base. And I'm going to use the coarse shredding cone today. It also comes with a finer shredding cone, but I want big slivers of cheese. And then the handle fits into the back just like a key, and that locks the cone in place. This is the hopper to push the cheese in. And what's great about the base is if you simply give it a turn, it locks to your countertop, so it's not going to go anywhere. So I've got a bowl to catch my cheese, and I've got some mozzarella that I actually had in the freezer for about 15 minutes. Anytime you're grating a soft cheese like a cheddar or a Monterey Jack or a mozzarella, if you freeze it for about 15 minutes beforehand, it tightens the cheese up and it makes it much easier to shred. It won't clog the shredder. So we'll lock it down and we'll start shredding. But look how much cheese comes out and how quickly. Of course, you know me, I love cheese, so one chunk wasn't enough. So I'm going to go ahead and grate the other one. And go backwards a few times just to get any little stubborn bits of cheese that don't want to get grated up. And now we're done. And then to clean this, everything in reverse. Ah, there was a chunk. That will be a Scooby snack when you're not looking. And then all of this is top rack dishwasher safe, or you could hand wash it. So we've got our cheese, the Parmesan is just about ready. I'll come back and assemble everything for you in just a moment. Okay, we've got our grated cheese. I've got some pasta sauce now, and I'm just waiting for the eggplant to finish. Now we can build our Parmesan. So let's take a look inside. Look at that. It's browned, it's crisp, no fat, no oil. It's amazing. So this could not be easier. It's going to be just a stacking process, a small construction job here. I'm going to take a little bit of my pasta sauce and put it on top of 2 of these because I'm going to stack the other ones on top of them. So here's my tomato sauce, much less than you would get in a restaurant. That's why these are not going to be gummy and goopy. And now I'm going to take some of the shredded cheese and put that on top of the tomato sauce. And these are really hot, so I'm not going to reach in there with my fingers. And I'm going to take the other ones and place them on top. But wait, there's more, because now we need to repeat the process. Because now I'm going to put more tomato sauce on the top. Not too much. I want to maintain crispness. And then we're going to finish with some more cheese. And it doesn't matter if cheese gets inside here, because remember, the MicroPro Grill is completely non-stick. And I like those little crunchy bits anyway. All right, now, remember before we were cooking in the grill position, we wanted to get that browning on the eggplant. Well, now we don't want to burn the cheese, so I'm going to give the cover a quarter turn. Now we're in casserole position, so you see it sits flat on top. So now that heat's going to come from above like a toaster oven, so we'll get that browning on the cheese, but not quite the same as grilling. So we go back into the microwave, only 3 minutes. Okay, our Parmesan is ready. So remember, we browned it in only 7 minutes, and then we built our stacks, and they've been down for 3 minutes. Let's take a look. Oh, look at it. We've even got a little crispy cheese. Look at that. That is a thing of beauty. Now, that looks very dry compared to what you normally get in a restaurant, but that's my point, because it's still going to have some crunch and some texture. And I personally happen to love an eggplant parm sub, so that is what I'm going to have today. So I've got a really nice roll here, and I'm just going to take my eggplant, slide it in there, and then I'm going to add, notice, the Italian flag colors, green, white, and red. So I'm going to add a little more sauce, because I can, but it's still not going to be swimming in sauce like you would get in a restaurant. And I'm going to add a little more grated Parmesan cheese to go with our mozzarella, because you know me, I love cheese, and you can't have too much. And then, just so I can feel healthier, I'm going to add a little bit of chopped parsley. Okay, there is an absolute thing of beauty, and it tastes even better than it looks. So there's our eggplant Parmesan in the MicroPro Grill, one of my favorites. You've got to try this for yourself. And remember, you do not have to be a chef to cook like one with Tupperware.